game of Kubb has taken Eau Claire by storm. This is kind of amazing because all you do is throw wooden sticks at wooden blocks. Like any sport, it's the mix of skill and strategy that makes the game fun. To find out how it all got started, I asked Eric Anderson. After all, he's my best friend's dad. I asked him about his first Kubb set and how Kubb got started in Eau Claire.
Well, Kubb in Eau Claire started, my wife Erin and I, we moved to Eau Claire in 2007, and we had learned the game Kubb when we lived in Sweden for a year. During an academic year, I went to graduate school there. So we moved back to the States. My dad bought us a set. We didn't really know anybody, we didn't know anybody. Moved here sight unseen, and it was a way for us to just kind of introduce ourselves to people and meet new people. There was no real tournaments in America at the time. So we had a little tournament in 2007, and we had a group of kids, high school kids that came from the Twin Cities area, and it was pretty amazing to think that people had traveled that far. We had a team from Duluth as well, but especially that team from Ann Arbor. I was like, I couldn't believe that people would drive from Ann Arbor, Michigan, all the way around Chicago and all the way up here to play in a Kubb tournament here in Eau Claire. And it was small, like I said, 15 teams. I mean, it was well run, but I was grilling the grill, I was taking care of the brackets, I was being the referee, kind of doing all these different types of things. But everybody had a good time.
So it was a good day?
Yeah, it was a beautiful day, and it set in motion everything else. That was the catalyst that day. You can't have years 3, 4, 5 without year 1. Year 2, we had to move to a Forest Street Park, and we had 31 teams that year, so we doubled in size. 2009, we had 48 teams. We had to move to a different park again because we outgrew the first park and the second park, so we moved to Boyd Park.
Whoa, 48 teams? That's a lot.
That was the first year where we really couldn't get around and talk to each player, and that's a part that I still kind of miss, is the first 2 years that we had the championship. We could get out and thank each individual player, shake their hand, give them a hug, do whatever to say thanks for coming. But with 48 teams and well over 100 players, we just couldn't do that. Savage Stick Flickers, I think the team name was, from Savage, Minnesota. They won it that year. And then 2010, we decided that, okay, and my friend kind of brought this up too. He goes, you need just to name this the U.S. Championship. I mean, it was getting big. So 2010, we renamed it to the U.S. National Kubb Championship. And at that time, I thought, it can't get any bigger than this. I mean, that was the first team. We had teams from Iowa come up. Again, we had Illinois. We had, obviously, Minnesota. A lot of teams from Minnesota came. After 2010, we had 64 teams. So we had room for 32 fields for the Kubb tournament. That's all Boyd Park could handle. Finally realized the only place I can hold it is the Eau Claire Soccer Park. So in 2011, we moved it out to the Eau Claire Soccer Park. That year we had 84 teams. Just blew up. I mean, it was a huge increase of number of players and teams. It was amazing. We had no idea it was going to grow that size. Then 2012 was the first year that we changed it from minimum of 2-player teams to minimum of 3-player teams. But we had a huge increase in players as well. And then 2013, we had it at the soccer park again. Starting in 2012, we have a 2-day championship now. So the final 8 teams come back on Sunday to play.
So what's new for this year? How big is it going to be?
So in 2014, so this year, registration is open. We already have, I think, over 10 teams registered in the first couple days. Our hope is to get around 100 teams this year. We're open now to 128 teams. The U.S. Championship is now the second largest tournament in the world that has painted Kubbs and Kings. It's one of 3 different 2-day tournaments in the world. Also starting this year, Kid Kubb, which is the U.S. Junior Championship. So it'll be one of 2 kid-only Kubb tournaments in the world. In addition, we're kicking off this year the pre-championship tournament, and that's the weekend before. Kind of a tune-up tournament, if you will, to kind of just have a good time, or to kind of, sharpen their swords and kind of see where they're at and and get it on with some top teams.
And why is this a good thing for Eau Claire?
It's kind of creating a new culture within our community. And in 2011, the City Council passed a resolution that we are the Kubb capital of North America, and it just adds to that. And then that makes more people want to come here and play when they know we host the U.S. Championship, but at the same time that they know that we're the Kubb capital of North America and that Kubb is in our schools, that we do all these different types of things with Kubb, then when they come here, they know they're coming to some place special that really values the game and accepts it as a part of our culture. And the saying about Kubb is Kubb unites people and creates peace on earth. And I really believe that. And what's happening is that more and more people are meeting other people that they wouldn't meet otherwise. And if you go to a tournament, I kind of put those, kind of like, it's a tournament, but it's more like a party, I would call it.
Eric, so what is Kubb?
Kubb is a great game you can play in your backyard, play with your kids. It's multi-generational. You can see that at all the different tournaments. The ringers, they here in Eau Claire, grandpa, son, grandson. That's the team. And they're a good team.
So there's a range of ages.
The youngest team we have is a team called Kubbang, and it's 5 or 6 kids from East Side Hill neighborhood here. They all range between about 5th grade and 7th or 8th grade. Quite a few teams that are a little bit older, I'd say, in their upper 60s, 70s, and I don't ask questions, but maybe close to 80. I mean, everybody wants to knock over a Kubb when you throw a baton, period. I mean, you want to, right? But 75, 80% of the teams there, I think, at a lot of tournaments, they're there to have a good time, enjoy the day, look at, get some sun, do those types of things, have some beverages while you're playing. But, maybe 25 to 33% of the teams out there are starting to look at it as more of a sport and, trying to get as good as they can. They practice, they train. So we're seeing it kind of on both levels. We're seeing it grow as a game, and we're also seeing it grow as a sport, not only here in Eau Claire, but around the Midwest.
So what about other tournaments?
There's 25 tournaments in the U.S. this year. 20 plus of them are in the Midwest. And the farthest one from the Midwest, I think, is maybe like Lindsborg, Kansas. But we have a couple within Minneapolis. One's on a frozen lake for their Lopet Ski Festival. That one just happened in February. All the way up in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. You have one in Appleton. You have one in Madison. You have several here in Eau Claire. You have 3 or 4 down in Milwaukee. Janesville is going to have one this year. I think Beloit's going to have one. The Swedish Historical Society in Rockford is having one this year.
So what about outside the U.S.? Has Kubb spread?
Kubb has a world championship. The world championship in Kubb is on the island of Gotland in Sweden, out in the Baltic Sea. And this year will be their 20th anniversary.
I heard there's lots of strange team names.
So one of the great things about Kubb is that we got a lot of different types of Kubb names. A lot of them have Kubb in them. So, got Kubbsicles, the Ringers, Kubbits, Team Knockerheads, ex-Kubbed, the Kubb Snipers, Tad Kubler, Kubb Chucks. These are all types. John Kuber Mellencamp. I mean, I just can't stop. Platteville Kubbsters, Kuba Libre, Viva Kubalution, Lusty Kubivores, R2 Kubtu, Kubonic Plague, the Kubras, Kubaka, Kubb Kitties, Kaboom, Kubbsicles, Kubb Snipers, Kingpin, Tad Kubler, Kubbed, Lightning Kubels, Torpedoes, Baby Got Backspin, John Kuber Mellencamp, Chicks with Sticks, King Kung, The Beers, Lucky Lefsa, Team Lutefisk, Kubberati, Dark Side of the Kubb, Flippin' Batons, Kubb Cheese, Kubbaholics, Queens of Kubb, Holy Guacamoles, Sweden Sons, Multiberry Magic, Night of the Living Kubb, Rhymes with Tube, Skipping Stones, Kuban Missile Crisis, Kubra Kai Dojo, Dark Side of the Kubb, Flippin' Batons, Dark Side, did I say Dark Side of the Kubb? Okay, ready, Cut,